We are going to be taking 5 more of my 5-star reads, going through Goodreads and seeing what people have to say about them. Book taste really is so subjective. I feel like I try to not get defensive in these videos, but it's hard, okay? It's hard. Get lost, Julia! I think I'm gonna have an issue. Ah! Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our little corner. Today, I needed a fun drink to film this video. So this is the sparkling guava juice beverage from Trader Joe's. Pretty good. It's basically just like sparkling water, but with like a little bit more flavor. We are going to be doing part 2 to a video that I posted, I think like in the summer. This is going to be the reading 1-star reviews of my 5-star reads. I am nervous. I'm nervous because I didn't handle it too well last time defending my 5-star reads. I'm even wearing my sweatshirt today. I'm just too soft for it all because that's how I feel. I'm just too soft for some of the criticism and I'm gonna try not to get heated, but I'm already getting hot. We'll see how that's gonna go. We are going to be taking 5 more of my 5-star reads, going through Goodreads and seeing what people have to say about them. This is an interesting video to do because I am interested in, like, you know, what makes a 5-star read, what makes a 1-star read. For me, a 5-star is about the feeling. It's about the characters, whether they're relatable or not, whether I feel like they're like my actual friends and they're real people. It's about the quotes and about how eloquently the author describes the human experience, essentially, for like romance books. And then with fantasy books, it's a little bit of a different rating system. It's about how immersible is the story, how transfixing is the plot. Characters, is it something that I haven't heard before? Is it a world that I want to get lost in? So there are a lot of things I feel like that go into a 5-star read for me. Again, different for romance and for fantasy. We have a couple fantasy and a couple romance in this video. Doing this type of video makes me realize that, like, yeah, book taste really is so subjective. It's just interesting to me how people can have completely different reactions to the same book. So this is partly going to be breaking down what makes a 5-star book for me, as well as trying to maybe defend a little bit of my 5-star reads. I feel like I try to not get defensive in these videos, but it's hard, okay? It's hard. I love these books. These books are like 5 of my children right here. Smile just looking at them, especially the first one we're gonna talk about. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I read criticism on that one. I think it's just interesting to go through a few of my books and see just the difference of opinion in general, see what people think, because there is a part of me that does wonder, like, am I just like a really easy rater? And my average rating for books is like a 3.5 to 4 stars. So like, am I just like a really easy rater? And are these 5-star books, are they 5 stars because they mean something to me personally, or are they just like really good books? We're gonna be looking at the average rating, the number of ratings, and of course our 1-star review. Starting off with Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. Do you see all these quotes that I tabbed in here? I love this book so much. Just some of the quotes in here make my heart hurt. I have like a visceral reaction looking at this cover, just being like, oh my god, this book! I'm obsessed. He's not my every second thought, he's my every thought. Oh my god, I'm dying with these quotes already. This is like dramatic, but it's also very much not dramatic. I love this book so much. I will leave below all the videos that I have read these 5-star books in, just so you could see like the live reactions and ratings and like an overall bigger summary of the book. But this is the 4th book in the Magnolia Parks series. Thing in here that gets me is the quotes, the absolutely lyrical, beautiful writing and descriptions, and how this book makes me feel. I should not have started with this one because I gave this book like an infinity stars. It has an overall rating of 4.47, which is really high, I feel. And it has 62,000 ratings exactly when I am reading this. Like, this book made me cry, it made me laugh. There's 151 1-star reviews. Okay, so this person is saying that Jessa focuses too much on Magnolia and Julian versus Daisy and Christian, which I understand, but like, that's why I love this book. So it's like, I like that she did that. Ah! This first one says this series is a joke. says I'm 19 and I'm too mature for this. Okay, it is about a toxic relationship. Like, that's the thing. Like, I always say this, if you go into the Magnolia Parks series expecting a love story, you will be disappointed because it's not a love story. It's like very much a exploration of how deep these characters feel for each other and how thoroughly entrenched they are within each other's psyches and just souls, and that is the beauty of this. So a lot of people are saying that like it's not a romance book, like there was no romance and like, yeah, that's the point. I mean, there was romance, there was definitely romance, but it's not a romance book, you know? Like, there's not like a happily ever after at the end. Well, in some times they are, but overall it's just of them fighting a lot. But I feel like that's the beauty of this series. Okay, what else do they have to say? So many skips! How can you possibly skip any beautiful quotes in this book? Get lost, Julian! Do not insult Julian in front of me. Okay, so overall, people are basically saying they don't like this book. They gave it 1 star because it is mainly about Julian and Magnolia, and Daisy and Christian are hardly like in their own book. It's a Daisy Hates book and they're hardly in it. I get where they're coming from because, like I said, I love this book because of Julian. I love Daisy, love Christian, but I do love this book because of Julian. So like, I do see where they're coming from in the sense of they thought they were getting a Daisy and Christian love story and it's more Magnolia and also Julian. It's still a great book. She still has like a POV and she still has her own storyline and plot line. And like I said, in Magnolia and like Jessa Hastings books, the main couple, like for example, the main couple in this book is Daisy and Christian. They don't get together a lot. Like it's a lot of toxicity, a lot of like, they're not gonna be happy all the time. And I feel like that is why people don't like this, but that's just how it is. That's how BJ and Magnolia were. I didn't read a single thing about the quotes in that 1-star review or the writing. If you read this book, the quotes are amazing. It is what made it part of a 5-star for me. I am just obsessed with some of these quotes. Okay, that was Daisy Hates. We'll start with that one. Not as terrible as I thought. They overall just didn't like that it was mainly about Julian and Magnolia. But that's why I loved it, so I don't really mind. The next book we're going to talk about is another romance. It is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is a 5-star book for me. I read the whole series and this remains my absolute favorite book of the series. I am obsessed with Willa and Cade. I just think that the age gap is done so well. I love the way that they added the kid in here, Luke, but he's not like overpowering, but he just serves to enhance the relationship between Cade and Willa. I love Willa's personality. She's so relatable. I just loved everything about this book. It is a love story, a country romance about the oldest Eaton brother, or the second oldest Eaton brother, who has a son, and Willa, who is the best friend of the main character of our first book. And she comes and she starts to nanny for Cade's son on the ranch. Then of course the relationship is between Cade and Willa. I think the slow burn in this is great. It's not like a Mariana Zapata slow burn, but it is like a slower burn than I would say like Hopeless, like another book in this series. So I love this book. If people insult Willa or Cade, I think I'm gonna have an issue. This book overall has a 4.38 star rating. Again, pretty high. It has almost 389,000 ratings. There are some 1-star reviews. Over 1,000 1-star reviews. I'm not gonna screenshot this because there's a lot of curse words in it. She said she didn't connect with the characters and she thinks that Willa doesn't have any personality and she's boring. Excuse me? How is she boring? I think that she is one of the most relatable characters in this book. She also just fully stands up for Luke several times and she's not afraid to be who she is, and she's just like loud about it. And I feel like anywhere that I would use to describe it, it would definitely not be boring. Okay, this person said DNF at 15%. They didn't feel any chemistry, but like, hello, there's so much chemistry. I feel like if you get past the 15% mark, because she said there's no chemistry, like, and everything goes really fast and she's not a bit intrigued at what will happen. I feel like there is chemistry at the beginning. I don't know, like Cade is definitely more of a silent type broody main character, so maybe that's why people think there was any chemistry. Okay, they don't like that there was some like woke phrases in this book. I'm not gonna screenshot a lot of these because there is a lot of cursing in them. They're talking too positively, how Willa is very like unabashedly comfortable in her like ... life, Mamma Mia reference. I feel like that's like good though. Yeah, like, am I wrong? Like, I feel like that's empowering for a female. I don't know. Like, Willa talks and talks about the social construct of women and nobody asks her opinion. Like, I'm sorry, this is her book. What do you mean no one asks her opinion? You're reading her inner monologue. Of course there's gonna be some of that. I feel like that is a difference, and I feel like I don't mind. That's not positive. Female main character is good. Okay, apparently it was only between 2 months. I feel like so it's not a slow burn. But I still feel like they made it seem like a slow burn. I don't know. People say they cringed a lot about some of like the TikTok references and stuff like that were mentioned in this. They said like save a horse, ride a cowboy a lot and stuff like that. But I feel like that's what a contemporary romance is. Like, this is a contemporary romance, so there is gonna be more contemporary phrasing in it. I don't know. So overall, people had an issue with they didn't feel the chemistry. They didn't like that. Felt like it was a little bit too woke, quote unquote. But I don't know, like, I feel like I've definitely read books that are cringier in that aspect. Maybe like some things. I feel like that's just a more how people view contemporary romance nowadays, where it is very like the classic icebreaker example, where it's a lot of something else and not a lot of plot. I feel like this definitely had plot in it though, you know? I don't know. And also, it's a lot about how like the contemporary romance, how people think that there doesn't need to be as many politics in reading or like social construct things in reading, but I feel like reading is inherently a social construct. I don't know. That is how people thought about this one. I still think it's a 5-star read. People just don't like contemporary romances lately. I feel like there's been a lot of shame around reading contemporary romances on TikTok, and I feel like a lot of the reviews that I read was also sort of like taking that stance, and I just feel like that's sad because yes, there are some books out there that I do not like and they're contemporary romances, but this one I feel like wasn't that bad. Like, it was really good. It wasn't all about like ... you know? Alright, moving on, our next one, Guard by Emily McIntyre. This is a dark romance book. It is the second book in the Never After series, and it is a dark fairy tale reimagining. This is a reimagining of The Lion King, actually. Our main character is the Scarred Prince, aka Tristan, who is supposed to represent Scar, and Sarah B, who I guess is supposed to represent Nala. It's like sounds weird because it's like they're lions, but they're like real people. They're just taking on the personalities that the lions had sort of in The Lion King. I think it's considered a royal dark retelling, a dark royal romance. I feel like I loved the royal aspect of this. So basically, Sarah, her plan is to infiltrate the kingdom and take it over because she thinks that the king is not just. The king is of course Michael, aka who is supposed to be Mufasa. She's there to marry Mufasa, but she really is there to infiltrate the kingdom and bring it down from the inside out. And then she meets Tristan, who is sort of like the black sheep of the family. And there was a little kid in this that was so adorable as well, that I think was supposed to represent Simba, because his name is Simon. But I just think that Emily McIntyre writes dark romance so fun, and her reimaginings are so well thought out. I feel like with her little Easter eggs throughout this book, Scar has a scar down his face, you know, but also like the character who represents Simba, this like servant boy, his name is Simon. So like those little details, I feel like that's how you know it's like a reimagining, and I really liked this. I felt like this was an entire like epic fantasy in one book. I just feel like so much happened. It just was so good. I highly recommend this book. I think people are gonna say they're gonna have more to say about like the dark romance genre. According to Goodreads, it has an overall rating of 3.87 and almost 175,000 ratings. There are some 1-star reviews. It seems like the overall star review is a 4-star. Okay, let's do it. Take a drink of my guava. It's getting too heated. Okay, so this one says, if someone were to tattoo property of XYZ onto my thigh, I would have him arrested. This is like the perfect quote to talk about what a lot of these reviews are saying, which is basically more of a commentary on the dark romance genre. Yes, obviously, if there was like this type of dangerous character who did stuff like that and was like more claiming like a property of a woman, like I wouldn't like that in real life. Like I feel like a lot of people that do like dark romance like it because it is a fantasy. They don't actually want this stuff to like happen, or someone like, I think of Haunting Adeline all the time. Like I feel like that is a very taboo book, and this is a much tamer dark romance book. But but obviously you don't want like a stalker in real life, but it doesn't mean that people who like Haunting Adeline want that. It's sort of just like the storytelling aspect of it. Like same thing with like a lot of TV shows. Like, do you actually want to be fighting to the death all the time? No, but people are obsessed with Game of Thrones, and I am too. I love Game of Thrones, so I feel like a lot of people are saying, like, dark romance in general, these are not things that you should want. These are not things that should be being advertised or whatever, but I feel like it's just a fantasy. Like, it's not, this doesn't mean that you're gonna go out and want all this stuff, you know? Like, that's like what people get wrong about these dark romances. A lot of people are also saying that Scarred is too slow for their liking. But I feel like that is, again, I like the slow burn aspect of it, and it's not like crazy slow, like not like Mariana Zapata. It is an era-themed book, and a lot of people are saying they don't really like the era theme. The language seems like it wouldn't actually, they wouldn't be talking like that in real life, which it's like in Bridgerton, you know? Like, you wouldn't actually be talking like that unless you were in the Bridgerton era. So I feel like that's not like a fair thing to place on the book. I feel like overall people are saying, like, you know, the dark romance book, that it's not like their cup of tea. They don't condone the things that Tristan was doing, because he's a bad guy. Like, the whole point of this series is that the bad guy is the main character. So yeah, he's gonna do things that are questionable. So I feel like that's like should be expected. But I do understand that dark romance is just not everyone's cup of tea. So like, fine. Okay, our next book we're gonna talk about is another fantasy that I just finished in August. That is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the last book in the Caraval series. I was obsessed with the Caraval trilogy. I am now reading the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy and love it just as much. I think that Stephanie Garber has such amazing writing and such descriptive writing. I feel like it's so fairy tale-esque and really sucks me into the story. That the way that Finale ended was so epic in a way. Like, it was a little bit slow in the beginning, but then it got so good like halfway through, and I could not put it down because like everything was coming to a head. And I feel like that's what I do like in fantasy books, when like there's a lot of build up during the whole book, but then towards the last third of the book everything is coming to a head and everything sort of blows up in everyone's faces. I feel like that's what happens in Sarah J. Maas books as well. The last book in the series, so I can't tell you too much what this specific book is about. But Caraval is about a dark sort of night circus. It's a love story. There are two sisters involved, and there is Legend, the master Legend, who is sort of like very magical and a magic person in this book as well. And also they're fighting the fates in this book, which I really liked the whole fate storyline that came a lot more in this book. This has an overall rating of 4.15. It has 295,000 ratings. It seems like there are more 5-star reviews than not. It's definitely like between 5-star and 4-star is what people rate it. I feel like people are gonna say that this book was slow. Okay, so yes, people are saying that the pacing was too slow. Poorly written? Oh my gosh. This person doesn't like how descriptive the writing is, but I feel like that's what puts you in the book. It puts you in the room with your characters, and I feel like that's what I love about fantasy books. But this person said the descriptions were annoying. No, well, I could see if that's just like not your cup of tea, but I love that about it. No build up to anything. I don't agree with that. There was definitely a build up to things in this book. Okay, I am so sorry. Just as I was getting a little bit too heated, my battery got overheated, so I had to change the battery. Had time to calm down a little bit. I feel like I'm being very defensive. I said I wasn't gonna be defensive. I'm going to try and see other people's point of views. We're doing this, Sarah. That's why we're doing this video. We want to see what makes a 5-star read for people and what makes a 1-star read for people. And this person is also saying that the ending was anticlimactic, which I don't agree with at all. I feel like so much happened in the ending. I was on the edge of my seat. Everything basically changed in the end. Like, how is it anticlimactic? Another thing a lot of people are saying is that this does not take place in Caraval, and it's called the Caraval trilogy, which is fair. It's a lot more like real world effects of the past two books, things that have been happening in the past two books, but that the characters couldn't really have time to deal with because they were in the world of Caraval and in the game of Caraval. That is what they're dealing with now. So this has no Caraval in it. I do understand how people can be disappointed at that, just because it is like the night circus. The Caraval setting was very fun and magical, so not having it in here I feel like could be disappointing, But also, there was definitely no lacking in magic in this book, even though it didn't take place in the actual night circus. I feel like it was still very magical and very engrossing, just like the world of Caraval. I liked how she sort of like zoomed out in her world and involved the fates and everything like that, as opposed to just being in the world of Caraval. I do understand how people don't like that it doesn't have Caraval in it. People don't like the metaphors and similes. I love that! Okay, so it seems like overall people are having trouble with the more descriptive and lyrical writing, which is why I love the book, but I could see, again, how that could be annoying for some people, but I just love the flowery writing. It's the same reason why I love the Magnolia Parks books, and they also didn't like that Caraval, the game, wasn't really in this at all, and it's called the Caraval series. But I feel like if you just are stuck on that, yes, there's no Caraval game, but that's because there's a whole overall game that they're dealing with in this. So I feel like people are being a little bit nitpicky with that. But that was Finale. I still love this book. I will still recommend this series. Okay, our last book, because I am getting heated and I need to calm down. I need to go eat a snack or something. Ghosted by J.M. Darhauer. This is a book that I read last year. It's a standalone romance and it's so good. I feel like this is such an underrated book. There is a past and present timeline. The way that the past timeline is told is through journal entries of our female main character. This is like a past chapter told by like journal entries, and then these are the normal chapters told in normal writing. I feel like that was so interesting, and it really helped me know where we were time-wise. I feel like that distinction of the different fonts was super helpful because sometimes it gets confusing. It's a second chance romance. It is about Jonathan, who is basically like a Marvel level superhero actor. He has his high school sweetheart that he leaves to go be a famous actor. They have a son together, and then he comes back for a second chance. So cute, so amazing. I want to read this book again. It's just so easy to read too. It's rare that a lot of romances like keep me hooked. Like these three definitely kept me hooked, and I really appreciated it. Okay, Ghosted. So it looks like the overall rating is 4.01. and it has 47,600 ratings. So again, like, not a lot of people like know about this book, but I want people to know about this book. This book is so good. Okay, so this person is saying they don't like Jonathan because they think he's selfish and egotistical. Yes, that was the whole point why they broke up in the past timeline, but he's trying to do better, and I feel like he does get better in the present timeline. The past Jonathan, yes, was very egotistical, and things that he did was very messed up, but I feel like that's the whole point of a second chance romance, is he's trying to change it and trying to fix it, and I feel like he did try and fix it in this book. I don't know. I don't think I've ever despised a book more than Ghosted. Despise is a strong word. Okay. So people overall seem to be saying that they didn't like Jonathan's character in this book, and they feel like he didn't do enough groveling for the second chance to happen. I need to reread this book because maybe I'm missing something, but I do feel like there was groveling in the present tense, wasn't there? Like, I feel like there definitely was. They were saying that Ken deserves so much more and she needs to learn how to stand up for herself, but I feel like towards the end she definitely did learn how to stand up for herself. That is what people overall didn't like about it, is they didn't like Jonathan, which I do understand. Like, if you don't like the main character, it is hard to get past that. There was definitely some growth in both characters towards the end of the book, but maybe I have to read it again. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm just jumping this book too fondly, but I really like this book. Those are 5 of my 5-star reads that we read 1-star reviews on. Sorry, the sun is being so weird right now. I was definitely a bit more defensive in this video than I was in part 1, because this is my part 2. This is like the second time I'm doing this. I came into this knowing that I was going to get defensive, and I just didn't hold back. Sorry if I got a little bit too defensive. I did think that it was interesting to read the 1-star reviews and my 5-star reads. It's just so interesting how like some things that I love about a book are things that people like hate about a book, and that just shows you how reading is so objective. That's like the overall conversation about book talk like lately. People are so upset that other people feel the way they do, and I just feel like it's okay. Like, again, like all this is like in good fun. I'm not like actually mad at these people. I'm just like defending my books because I'm so passionate about my books. I feel like it's okay that everyone has their own opinion. It was interesting. It was very interesting. I feel like it's gonna help me read more critically quickly like suss out the things that I like about a 5-star read and things that I don't necessarily like. Reading reviews about them definitely helped me like realize that. This was fun. I have more 5 stars. We could do this a third time if we wanted to, and hopefully we have more 5 stars in the future. Let me know if you read any of these books and what your ratings are, because I am very curious. That is it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!